Hello, and welcome to the Empress podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to the podcast. Happy December, everybody. So if you know me, you know that I am a December girly. I absolutely love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. I am so stoked to see the different lights showing up in the neighborhood. It's been so fun to walk around and see houses sparkling and getting little, ornaments everywhere and Christmas trees going up. And I just love it. I've already been watching Christmas movies, but to be honest with you, I started watching Christmas movies before Halloween. You can judge me. I don't care. I'll never stop doing it because I'm a Christmas girly. And if you're a Christmas girly too, then hey, I see you. I wanted to do a quick catch up over the month of November. Some of you may have noticed that I got off of social media and I feel better for it. The decision came because I was just feeling really unhappy with my experience online. And some of you may resonate and some of you might not. I am here to just share my experience with you. I was getting kind of bored and looking for inspiration, but not really finding it. Like, do I love a good puppy video? 100%. Do I love a good artist video? Also 100%. But there was something about the overall experience that just wasn't hitting for me anymore. And I also really don't like the way that my mind gets consumed on social media. I don't like caring about people that I don't really care about. And what I mean by that is celebrities and stuff like that. Like I love reality TV. I love some good gossip. Like I'm all for that in terms of like entertainment. But there are times where I'm like asking questions to myself that don't really matter. They're not relevant. I'm going down rabbit holes that have nothing to do with my life or anything important. And I'm like, I think that there's a better use of my time, and I would really love to explore that. And I want to go back to before our minds were all hijacked by social media. And so the podcast page is gone. Jess the Empress is gone. I can be found on Facebook, although I'm not creating content and I'm not posting. The reason I have Facebook is because I manage 9 different social media accounts. They're not mine, they're for the company that I work for, Empowered Endings Foundation. So the foundation itself has a bunch of accounts, and then there's 2 medical practices that are connected to the foundation that also have a bunch of social media accounts. And I co-manage those with some other ladies. And yeah, I gotta have Facebook. Meta makes you have a personal account in order to like be a manager. And just another brief update from my personal life. I did quite a few corporate events, and I actually have another corporate event coming up on December 4th that I'm really looking forward to. But I did those for my tarot readings, and they were so much fun. I connected at a medical convention, I connected at a lawyer's convention, and then the other one I'm catching up. I actually don't even know who the client is. Sometimes my booking person doesn't tell me until I actually get there. So I'll be surprised, but it's another corporate event. So who knows? But it's been such a blast to meet people that I really don't think I would have met outside of the opportunity to be entertainment for them at their events. And it gives me such a high and such a pleasure to meet with people and to just get to see into their inner world. I feel so lucky that I'm the one that gets chosen for these events and then gets to connect further with people. And they take it out of me though. Like 3 or 4 hours of reading back to back to back is it does such a thing for my nervous system. Like it's such a high the night of, and then like hours afterward, I'm like living for life. Like it's amazing. And then the next day I'm like wiped out. So yeah, I do a lot of self-care before and after those events. And honestly, November was not as chill as I was hoping it to be. I was really looking forward to November being this time of like rest and rejuvenating, and it turned out to be the opposite. And really, all of that was out of my control, and it just had stuff to do with work for the foundation. And there was just so many changes that happened, and it required an all hands on deck kind of approach. And so it compromised more time than I prefer. But, sometimes we have to do things again temporarily. It's not like it was a long term thing. And I knew it wasn't long term going in. So I just dive in and took quite a big chunk of of responsibility. And yeah, so I survived though. Here we are in December. And that brings us to what we're really getting into in today's episode, which has a lot to do about failures. And I think a lot of us start to feel the pressure of like, oh, what are my New Year's resolutions as we get into December? What do I want to accomplish next year? Let me write down my goals. But we can also find ourselves in this space of like, I actually didn't even finish like half the goals I had on my list for this year. And here I am sitting here thinking about next year, and it can make us feel kind of funky. And I wanted to address if you're finding yourself in this space, this episode is going to be for you. And I thought it would be a good idea to just talk about where my failures were this year because, I had things on my to do list as well. I had things on my goals, and not everything came to fruition. But I think it can be helpful to hear how other people perceive failure. I love looking at people that have failures, but they don't make themselves a failure. They can just kind of look at things objectively and then say, okay, cool, and move forward. And I would say that my biggest failure for 2025 was not selling any of my online courses. So I came out with a shadow work course um, mid last year, so mid 2024. And I popped online, I would say a few times a month to share that I had this course, and nothing sold. There are reviews on the course if you look at my website, but those reviews are from people that um, went through the course to give me feedback as part of like content and course creators. Like people, I always solicit people to help me in making it, to give me feedback to see like, does this make sense? Because I don't know, I don't want to launch something that's just like kind of silly and doesn't land with a lot of people. So the reviews on there are all from people that got the course for free um in exchange for giving me feedback and working their way through it. So yeah, I didn't sell one, and I had hopes that I would have sold more than none. And so it is what it is. What are you going to do? Like, I learned as well that I'm not really good at selling. I'm not really good at selling in general, and I'm not really good, therefore, at selling like my own things. And I'm not really good at selling online. Like, there's just a lot of things. There's a lot of personal deficits that I have. And I'm going to be really honest with you guys. Like, I don't necessarily want to get better at selling online. And so I've made peace with the fact that I have sold zero of my shadow work courses. Do I love the course? Totally. Are there things I would change about it? No, probably not. Unless it was like really bad. But I love it. I think it's a great course. I stand by it. And maybe someday one person will buy it and love it too. But yeah, it is what it is. And I think what's so important as, you're listening is to notice that I'm not saying that I'm a failure. The truth here is that like I failed at selling it, right? But I'm not a failure because I didn't sell it. And so I think we need to notice the truth in what the failures are and how we're talking about those failures in narrative therapy. We really look at language, and it's so important in our storytelling because we can be making meaning of something and we could be making an unhelpful meaning. And I find a lot of times that an unhelpful meaning making story is calling ourselves a failure. But you can't be a failure just because like the failure, was an event. A failure is an event or a thing. It's not really a person. And you're not a failure because you didn't check off every single box on your goals and on your 2024 to-do list. You're just experiencing a failure. Okay. So just remember that. Another failure that I experienced this year was that I really didn't get out and roller skate as much as I wanted. I definitely let some excuses creep up and I bought into them, and I did, get out. I was like going on walks and exercising. So I didn't fail in my like overall exercise goal, but the type of exercise and like the way I wanted to get it was like a total failure. So let's talk about another way that we can frame something like this. I love a scientific framework. Really being able to look at something like, okay, it was like a bad experiment, but it wasn't, I'm not a bad scientist, right? And if we really look at the scientific process, we are looking for failures. We're looking for things that don't work so that we can point ourselves to a way that does work. And I find that the reframe of the scientific framework is really helpful. So, if you need to approach your 2025 goals with a little white lab coat on, go ahead and do it. You ran some experiments. Sometimes you got the results you wanted, sometimes you didn't, but it's just data. And what do you want to do with that data moving forward? For myself, if I'm honest, I don't want to do anything about it right now. I do need to like get my roller skates cleaned. Like I need to get them fully cleaned and or learn how to do all of that myself, like cleaning the wheels, changing out the wheels and the bearings and all of that stuff. So there's like a set of things that I need to learn how to do or get done before I even step into trying for that goal again. And I think if I were to, well, I'll think through this like on air, but I would probably need to look at my excuses and just set up more structure mentally. So, how do I want to overcome those excuses? I would probably write down the excuses, like the stories that my mind was telling me. And then I would have a counter argument. And I would really lean on that counter argument when I heard my mind defaulting to those excuses. And then I would really need to be boundaried. I would probably ask my partner to help me stay accountable. And like, let's say, for example, I'm like, I want to get out, twice a month and roller skate. I would tell my partner that. And I know that he would, encourage me to go do those things because I said I wanted to do them. So yeah, you can use that little framework if you need to redirect some of your energy. You want to try those goals again, but you did find yourself using excuses. Try that on, see what happens. And let's just talk about this generally, but how many times have you done this where you have subconsciously operated from like a false formula? And that false formula, this is how you know, okay, that you are like tripping, ego tripping, is that performance plus approval equals your self worth. Okay. Anytime you're like, if I do the best and then people love it, that means I'm worthy. That is a trap that will always mess you up. And I think it's really important to just remember that you can give something your best and people can love it. And you still have to be able to hold your head high and say, like, I gave this my best. And like, cool, you could give something your best, you can love it. And other people can be like, that's just total trash. You can't let your self worth crash because other people are not approving of you. It is your job at the end of every day to be approving of yourself. Are there going to be times where you don't give it your best? Sure. And like, let's be honest, you can't give everything your best all the time. That's sort of irrational too. Like, you have to be mindful of your energy. Not every single thing you do deserves like your absolute best. But I just want to propose a new way of looking at yourself and your actions. You know, you are so much more than just the things that you do. So you can't fuse, your identity to your output. Um, if your value, your self value and worth is like always tied to your wins, again, the second you don't do something the best, you're at a deficit, you're losing, then you turn into a loser in your own mind. And so you have to like decouple those things. that's really how I've been able to have so many failures in my life and not take it personally because I'm not personally tied to the things that don't go well. Are there moments when I'm a little harder on myself? Totally. I definitely have that as a go coping skill, um, or a way to cope. But I'm not always like sitting in that energy. I'm not like reliving it years later and like, oh, I should have done this differently and da da da. Like, nah, I don't want to live in the present moment, beating myself up about the past, telling myself I'm a failure. Like, no, I don't want to live like that. And again, failure is something that you have, that you experience. It's not something that you are. Your core identity is not a failure. And like I learned so much in my failures. That's the very interesting thing about failure. Like if you want to be a wise person, like a really wise person, you have to fail because again, no scientist is like, I know exactly how to do it and gets it right the first time. You can have really deep conversations with people that have been through stuff. Why? Because they failed a lot of times. And from that, they have so much wisdom to share. So if you ever say to yourself, wow, I want to be a really wise person, you are inviting a lot of failure. And that's not going to be a problem when your identity isn't tied to the fact that like you're going to fail. It's so important that we have grace and kindness with ourselves and that we flush out our ideas and our thoughts with people that really get us and that can hold us accountable while still saying, hey, like, let's work on some of the ways you're thinking about this because some of the thoughts you have might be flawed. And I'll give you an example. So I had it in my mind that November was going to be this like super chill month and I was going to get to work on the podcast revamp and all of this stuff. And that didn't happen. I did not get to work on the podcast revamp. I have a new like song picked out and I have a new intro. I still have yet to record it. There's so many things I want to do in terms of like visuals and like outlining episodes and stuff like that. And I haven't gotten there. And yeah, we're really close to January and I'm taking off the end of December because I need a damn vacation. So January's episode probably isn't going to even come out in early January. And it is what it is because at first I was thinking, I need everything to fit in the month of November, right? Like I need everything to go perfectly so that I can get this revamp done and launch. And I'm so excited to be on time and blah, 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 blah. But then life happened and life was like, Jess, you're being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with all of your control and thinking it's just going to fit into 30 days. Um, and so I was just being a silly goose. And I realized that was actually like the flaw in my thinking. The flaw in my thinking was that like everything would happen within a 30-day time frame, the exact way that I wanted it to. And yeah, it didn't. So here we are. And here I am just admitting that I was thinking like a silly person. And so if you're finding yourself having like really strict rules and mental timelines, I want to say go easy on yourself, be flexible. I know that the podcast is going to launch and its new season and, find the right people at the right time. I know that if I slow down, that the quality of things is so, 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 so much more important to me than constantly being in your ears, trying to top the charts, be number one, blah, blah, blah. Those aren't even my goals. Like, to be honest with you, I have no intention of being on like any list. Like, I just don't care about stuff like that. But I've had to just be kinder to myself in how I'm mentally framing things. And it's so important that like I don't get rigid in the rules that I create for myself. And I think we can do that. I think we can do that at any time when we're creating to-do lists and creating, New Year's resolutions and things like that. And I'm not sure that it's talked about enough, the flexibility. If anything, we're boxing ourselves into a 1 year period of 365 days to like get all this stuff done. So as you're moving into wrapping up the end of this year and beginning 2026, just remember the few things that I mentioned in this episode, right? Talking about the story, the meaning making you're doing, you're experiencing failures, you're not a failure. You're totally fine. Put on that white lab coat, be a scientist, be objective. Notice where there are some trappings and where you need to just create a new path for yourself. Your performance plus approval has nothing to do with your self worth, like at all, at all. Just because something you're doing isn't working out doesn't mean that you're like this total loser. You are greater than your actions. You're you. You're amazing. So yeah, don't like tie your identity to your output. Just stay strong and being like, I'm me, did some things, those things didn't work out. It happens. Oh no, I'm human. I guess I'll just try again. But yeah, let's wrap up this December episode. I'm just sending you a ton of love and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.